afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Black Girl Business Hour. I am your host, L.Will, also known as Lena Wilson. I am the owner of Rebellious Beauty LLC and the creator of the Sister to Sister networking group here on Facebook. Today, we have a great show for you. Of course, again, season 2 is rolling, y'all. Okay, season 1 was good, but season 2 is like amazing. Our guests this season have been amazing. Okay, we had a first male guest, which is like a milestone for us. And now we have another special guest, our second guest outside of the group. Let me take this time to introduce her. She is the creator, okay, of the Detroit Natural Hair Expo. And now she is a brand new author of a wonderful cookbook that's just been released on Amazon, Black Girls Cook Too. Please give it up in the chat for my guest today, Miss Eonica Smith. Yay! Give it up for her. Hi, Eonica. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for being on the Black Girl Business Hour. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us here in the Sister to Sister networking group. So let me give you a little history. I started doing the Detroit Natural Hair Expo. I think this one is going to be the 6th, and I've done 5. So it's an amazing expo that's gone on every year. It's been some amazing guests. There's been some amazing vendors. I've made some amazing friends on this journey, and I am ever so delighted to this year sit on a committee of planning the next Detroit Natural Hair Show. Okay, so Miss Eonica, please tell the ladies in the group a little bit about you.
Well, I am a single mom of twin daughters. They're 8 years old. I have been an entrepreneur since around 2015. I started off doing the natural hair care event in Detroit, which is the largest natural hair event in the Midwest. Back in 2017, that was my first one. I launched a hair care brand that same year. So I actually created, manufactured, and formulated natural hair care products up until recently when I decided to, pivot and go elsewhere. I found a passion for something that I've loved forever, which is cooking. And I recently wrote my first cookbook, Black Girls Cook Too. It kind of just came after going viral on TikTok many times. I was able to build a following of over 60,000 people on TikTok from, cooking. So I decided to create a cookbook that was geared towards celebrating Black women. So that's what I'm doing now. And then I am currently planning the next Detroit Natural Hair event, which is now a block party. More of a festival vibe and less of a strict expo environment. So I've been doing a lot of stuff this year.
Haven't we all? It's been a busy year. So give us a little background on the expo. Like, how did you come about doing that? How did you get the idea to have that type of expo or festival in Detroit, especially when there was nothing like that going on? What was it, back in 2015? Because as a vendor, a person who's been traveling that long, the shows were far and in between. They're not plentiful like they are today, where everything is pop up. So explain just how you got to the concept of the Natural Hair Expo.
Yeah, so back in 2017, I was actually making hair care products. They weren't really out there like that. I was really a nobody knew who I was. And I had a friend who lives in New Orleans, and she sent me a flyer because I never knew what natural hair events or trade shows or expos were. So she sent me a flyer, and it said, and then in the message, it said, you should go here. And it was the New Orleans Natural Hair Expo. So she sent me the flyer for that. I looked into it and I'm like, oh, okay. And I saw the vendor fees were like $600. And I'm like, I'm not paying $600 to go to New Orleans. Like, I'm not doing it. But then I was like, okay, I wonder if Detroit has something like this. I wonder if Detroit has a natural hair event like this where I can go and launch my products, because like I said, my products were not really out there. It was new. I was just giving people samples. And people were telling me like, your product is really, really, really good. It should be out there. You need to do
Right.
events. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not paying $600 to be a vendor at this show. So I kind of just slept on it. And then I did research and I saw that there were other natural hair events like the Charleston Natural Hair Expo. There was the World Natural Hair event in Atlanta. So
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to all of these, people and the organizers for these events, like, hey, I'm Eonica. I'm trying to start an event here in Detroit. Do you mind giving me some pointers? And all of them were gatekeepers. They did not want to give out any information. They did not want to help. They were like, you're a competition and we don't want to help you. But there was one person who helped me, and that was Evie Drayton, the creator of the
Yes.
Charleston Natural Hair Expo.
And she's amazing. I've done that event, and it is an absolutely amazing event.
Yeah, so, and she's actually came to the Detroit Natural Hair Expo to speak as well. So she was basically my mentor during that first 2 years of me planning the Detroit Natural Hair Expo in year 2017 and 2018. So I reached out to her in April of 2017, and then I had the event in August of 2017. And that's where I launched my hair care brand. And then from there, my hair care brand grew to over 30,000 followers on social media. It was doing really, really, really well. But then I just decided to continue doing the natural hair event. I went into this event with $0. The first event I ever had for the Detroit Natural Hair Expo, I made over $100,000 off of just one event. And then I decided to just keep doing it and keep doing it. I took the event to Memphis, Tennessee. I took it to Chicago, and then I took it to Grand Rapids, Michigan as well.
Okay, yeah. And like you said, when you first started doing the event and you were reaching out to people, and people, like you said, were gatekeepers. And as a person who's thrown events, I had to reach out to people. And it's crazy because that you said that, because I reached out to you and you were one of the only people that reached back out to me. So I understand where that comes from. Can you explain why, like, I feel sometimes it's not that deep to hold in information? Like, it's enough stuff, enough people, it's enough going on where everybody could share. And doing expos, can you just elaborate on the information and why it's not that deep to hold in and be a gatekeeper, and how you do appreciate her for reaching out back to you to throw an expo of that caliber, because you came off the block. Like, your first one was like huge. And I don't, it could be very well because, hey, Detroit wasn't throwing anything like that, but it was a legit great show. And as a person who travels and does these shows in different cities and see, the caliber of a really good show to a really bad show, you're definitely on my top 5 of really good shows. So can you just kind of elaborate on the whole information thing, and why you're okay with sharing that type of information if someone comes to you?
Yeah, because I mean, like, I don't know why people are gatekeepers. It's really not that serious. For me, I just felt like, as a person who didn't really have the resources and no one was willing to help me, I've always been the type of person, like, if anyone asks me a question, I'm just going to answer it. Like, when I started my hair care brand right during the pandemic, I used that time to pivot and teach people how to build products, how to go viral on social media, how to make a lot of money. Like, I gave them every single detail, how to get their products in Target, how to get their products in, Walmart. I've always just been that type of person. And that experience with those people who were just like, oh no, we're not going to help you. Oh no, this is competition. I'm like, okay, your expo is in New Orleans. You're never going to do an expo in Detroit. Right. So it's not like we're competition, because the people in New Orleans are not coming all the way up to Detroit to come to my event,
And it's like, and if they do, it's okay. Like, it could be to Detroit.
Yeah, and then what you offer at your event may not be what I'm offering at mine. Exactly. It's more so like, how am I to get started? What are the logistics around getting started? And I just knew, like, there's no harm in telling someone the details. There's no harm in giving people information. I do tell people sometimes. I remember I had a brand. I was really close with the owner, and she's a huge brand. And she told me, like, hey, Eonica, this is my graphic designer. She's super amazing. And she was just telling me, like, you should reach out to her. And I reached out to her. And then one time I was doing like a Zoom and I was teaching a building beauty brand type thing. And I was like, listen, this graphic designer works with a lot of big brands. And I told them, like, y'all need to reach out to her because her designs are amazing. And it got back to the original person who told me. She was like, why would you tell people? Like, I don't want to share my graphic designer. And I'm just like, why not? Like, this girl lives.
But it helps them too. Like,
yeah. I'm like, she's not gonna stop being your graphic designer. So what is the problem? But she was pissed. Like, she was so mad that, I told other people. I was just trying to be helpful. I didn't know I was supposed to keep it a secret. But for me, like, I just want people to win. I want everyone to win. So I don't have a problem with telling people information about anything. It was a girl who reached out to me about doing an event. I broke it down to her piece by piece by piece. Like, it's not going to hurt me by helping you. It's just not. So that's why I do it. I can't answer to why others don't. Because it's
all public information. I mean, yes, every one of us have built however, I give out a lot of information in this group. Every woman in this group will tell you, like, I've literally sat here on Zoom and gave all types of stuff away. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I do want to see us win, and I don't want to send you out there as a business messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want you out here bad, and it's like, and more importantly, I don't want them to say, oh, Lena, and she didn't give you that. Like, yeah, definitely, I'll give it to you. So I appreciate you, because like I said, before I left Detroit the last time, I reached out and was like, I have questions. There's some things that I wasn't sure about and things like that. On top of, I'd love to just be a part of it to see how the process goes. Like, I'm one of those people, just show me the door, I'll figure out how to open it myself. But, and so I appreciate you even just sharing that information with me. So I think that's dope.
I was just gonna say, like, granted, Google is a resource. You can go online and, research these things, but like trying to get sponsorships and, trying to figure out the words to say, you may not have that. That's not on Google. Right. That's a gift that, is given. You have to know how to communicate and talk to these people and negotiate. So that's something that you have to learn from someone. You're not going to get it from Google. Google is not going to tell you that. So I'm not going to tell someone to go to Google when I can just tell them how to do it.
Yeah, use this template. This will work like that. I'm the response queen. I type up all types of stuff because I'm so used to talking to people. But sometimes I get a little like, I don't want to put the government spin on it. I'm so used to responding to government folks. This may not be the same vibe that a sponsor may or may not want to hear. So like I said, I appreciate just all the game or, and the direction that you've even given me. So that's, dope too. You also mentioned in 2020, you pivoting and just moving more into a teaching mode where you were teaching people how to pivot, because all of us took a hit in 2020. I don't care who you is, it took a hit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, I had 15 shows in 15 different cities lined up for 2020. And then once the mandates came down that we were shutting down, like it was cancellation. So it's like, what do we do? Do we sit here and we die? And actually I started this group in 2020 and I look at it, we went from a couple of members to, I think it's almost 700 or 800 people in the group. So I come from a world where I'm bending. I like to touch and feel and we talk, and now I can't do that. I had to learn how to pivot, which is how I got into the Facebook Live game. And it was like, I didn't stop. So how did you, decide to, again, because I tell people, if something happens, you don't just shut down and die. How do you pivot? How do you take what you would normally do and just keep it going? So how did you keep it going during the pandemic? So when you were able to come back, people were still like, hey, I remember that. Let's go on ahead and go back.
Mm-hmm. So for me, I kind of just wanted to make myself remain relevant. I had built a huge following. So I'm like, okay, let me take advantage of me having this huge following. So, and people trust me. So because people trust me, they're like, this girl knows what she's talking about. We've seen her do it. And I started just offering classes because during that time, I knew that it was something that was really hot. Everybody was trying to do things like that, have Zooms and, have courses. And people saw me do it. They saw me leave my job. I left corporate America literally in August of 2017. That was right before I had my first expo. I was able to do that. So people saw me do that and they were like, okay, yeah, we want to hear what this girl got to say, you know? And I just continued to do it and do it and do it until the world opened back up. I was always posting. People call me like the marketing goat, because when it comes to marketing, I'm on it, you know, like I'm able
Right.
to really do it. So I was just putting out things on social media, how to market your business properly, you know, what to do to, you know, make $10,000 in a weekend, things like that. And people were intrigued. So even though I didn't have an expo in 2020, when I had one in 2021, the vendors and things like that, they wanted to come back. I stayed connected with them. So they were like, okay, yeah, we're gonna rock with you because we've been rocking with you this whole time. People really like when someone's honest. They like when someone is being real. They like when you are upfront.
What you was talking to, because let me tell you something. These folks in this group sometimes, and honey, I love them dearly, but I can't be more real. I don't know if it's scary real or really real. Okay, y'all hear that? Trust, and I say that all the time. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but trust. And I just put that out. If you just continually jumping in this group to advertise your stuff and not putting yourself out there, people are not going to know who you are, and people are not going to trust you. People are not going to just throw their money into some entity that's just showing up every blue moon and say, hey, buy my stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to build a relationship. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
for real.
And I was always like the one who I was running my social media for all of my businesses, my personal page. And I was always replying. Like, the one thing I think I do differently than most business owners, because a lot of people feel like once you get to that top, oh, I don't want to talk to anyone. You know, I don't want to. I respond to every message. I respond to every email. I respond to every DM, every post on my walls, whatever. Anytime anyone is asking me a question, I'm going to answer it, no matter how crazy it is or lavish it is. I'm going to answer it. And I think that when you build those type of relationships with people, people are going to want to do business with you. They're going to want to work with you. You're going to get so many more opportunities when people actually like you. Right. And they're not going to like you if they don't know who you are. And I'm very...
Y'all don't like me? Is this what I have so much difficulty with y'all sometimes? You don't like me? Just say that. It's cool. I take stuff like that on the chin. It's all right. It's a lot of people that don't like me. You know what I tell them? Pull a damn Post-it note and get in line. Okay, I'll call your number. Okay. But that's true. And that's, you know, and I tell people that all the time, like the whole, you can post something that just say, hey, introduce yourself. And the first thing they'll do is introduce the business. And it's like, so you're just the business. There's no other dynamic to you. Because yeah, you throw the expo, but now you're cooking. And now you're doing this, and it's so many other layers. So it's like, is this just you? Yeah, I do Rebellious Beauty, but I don't talk about it 24/7. Nope, not at all. Because I'm so much more than that. Now I'm teaching, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm doing that. Yeah, I still have it, and it's my baby, and it has gotten me really far, but it's not everything that I am. And one day I may decide that it's not me at all and walk away from it.
Yeah, you know? I mean, that's how it was with me when I left my hair care business, because people only knew me as Eonica, the Natural Hair Expo girl who sold hair care products. No one knew that I had a passion for cooking and that would take off to a whole new... I didn't know I was going to write a book in 2020. Like, you know, people... So when I put that out there, people were like, oh my God, they were a little shocked, but they were just like, oh, we're going to support because, girl, what you doing? Like, huh? You did that?
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's got to be other layers to you. You know, whatever y'all doing in your business, that's fine. But what else are you? You know, I don't know what you're doing. You out here trying to make America great again? Like, I don't want to be with you if you're doing that. Or, you know, I mean, it's just so many other things. And I think people get like, I started this, so I'm just this. Like, be something else. It's cool. You've never stayed in your same job position. So be the same way in your life. You ain't been a cashier all your life. No, you upgraded to other things and management and supervisor or not. You know what I'm saying? I walked away from my job in 22. These people see me walk away from that job. Why? Because, hey, vending is cool. I like vending, you know? But guess what? Vending is changing, and we've all said that. You know what I'm saying? So 2020 should have showed us that at any moment, someone can decide this is over. It's all over. You know what I'm saying? We in the house again, or we not in the house, or, you know, whatever the next shut thingy is or mandate is, we don't know. So we have to learn to pivot and be more than the one road. Like, branch out your roads, y'all. And not, I told you that, you've heard it from a second person. I hope you're not listening. So tell us about the cookbook. What is the cookbook vegan? Is it just healthy options? Is it just some recipes Eonica put her spin on? Tell us about the cookbook.
So my cookbook has 500 pages, over 17 chapters, and over 250 recipes.
Oh, child, look now. We're gonna be cooking.
Oh, you know what? Let me grab one. I'll show you what it looks like.
So we can see. I'm gonna put the links. If you all have questions, take this time to gather your questions, because I'll definitely answer them live. And make sure you put the links to the expo, because we got an announcement about that. But I'll put the link to her book in the edited version in YouTube, and I'll also put it in the group. So show us the book.
So with my cookbook, this is my cookbook, Black Girls Cook Too. It's huge. Like, this is my, it's a huge like coffee book. But as far as like the recipes, a lot of these recipes are recipes that I definitely put my own, spin to. I'm from Detroit, so the first chapter is called Welcome to Detroit, and it's all, foods that you will find here in Detroit that people love, and recipes to them that I was able to, create and tweak. I recently lost 100 pounds, so I have a whole chapter on, it's called Revenge Body. I have a chapter where it says Girl Feed Your Man, where it's like relationship goal type recipes. I have desserts, breakfast, brunch, all types of stuff. And then there's pretty much like pictures and things with, everything.
And see, that's how I need the pictures. I'm the person that needs to see what it's supposed to look like, and how I made it turn out.
Yeah, and then a lot of people don't know that I'm half Jamaican. So, and I was adopted, so I never met my Jamaican side of my family. So I found someone sent me a picture of my great grandmother, which is my father's.
Your biological grandmother?
Yes. So someone sent it to me. I'm trying to find it, but it's super dope because she loved being in the kitchen and she loves cooking, and people were like, she was one of the best cooks ever. So I have a whole chapter dedicated to, my Jamaican culture. And I dedicated it to, my great grandmother.
That's dope. So it's in your blood, you ain't even know.
Yeah, so it's super cool. Like I have Asian recipes, Mexican dishes.
What's a Detroit food staple? So like here in Cleveland, we all about Polish boys, pierogies, and shoulder sandwiches. So what's a staple of Detroit?
Detroit, you have like chili cheese fries, coney dogs, Detroit style pizza. We have like a Detroit martini. There is chicken shawarmas. What else did I put in here? Corned beef egg rolls, corned beef sandwiches, things like that. I don't know if y'all can see it, but I found a picture. This is a picture of my great grandmother from Jamaica.
Oh, that's so dope that they sent you that you were able to get that.
Yeah, so that's super cool. And Detroit has some really cool, it's not a lot of recipes for the Detroit chapter. I think it's only a few, but
we big on corned beef down here, so corned beef recipes are always good.
Yeah, and then I have like poetry in here and all types of things, so like just
cooking is but see, and that's what I'm talking about, layers, like it's all types of stuff.
Yeah, it's super colorful. Just things to kind of like celebrate Black women, and Black men have purchased the book too. So
of course,
and Caucasians and Mexicans, anyone can purchase it. I just felt like I chose this name because I kind of wanted to just celebrate. I feel like there's not enough Black women in this industry. And if there are Black women in this industry, they're not getting the love, the kudos that they, that they want. Because I'm telling you, Martha Stewart and all of them, they didn't deliver. They didn't come up with baked mac and cheese. Okay, that's not their recipe.
And their recipe don't look that good. Like they still ain't came up with it. You want to be honest?
Yeah. So, that was my baby. It took me a year to do, and I just released it April 1st.
awesome. That's dope. I'm very happy for you. If you guys have questions, start putting them in the chat so I can answer or ask her your questions. So that is really dope that you were able to find passion in something else, which is the cooking, which you've obviously taken to TikTok and it has taken off. It's crazy that you say that because I posted something about some food and on TikTok, I'm not huge on TikTok, but I do post every now and again. I posted a food video and it went nuts. And I'm like, oh, wow, really? It was just some fruit. It was a pretty platter of some fruit that I make for my kids because we're kind of fakeitarian over here. I think I told you that. I'm almost there in my mind, but not quite. I'm headed there, but not quite. So yeah, no, social media, and I can't say it enough, use this free platform before somebody decided it ain't free no more. And it's getting there. Clearly, we see that with the blue check business, that social media ain't about to be free for a long time. So use these free platforms while you have them. Here's a prime example of a person who used it and it worked. So, I can't stress marketing and things like that enough. Talk about your business. Talk about your business like Fashion Nova sent us these damn annoying texts, okay? Talk about it. No one knows it if you don't talk about it.
Yeah, because if you go to my Facebook page, you're going to see me talking about my cookbook. You're going to see me talking about my TikTok. You're going to see me talking about the Natural Hair Expo and whatever else I'm doing that week. I'm going to talk about it no matter how crazy it is. And I'll tell people like, it's funny because I told people, I'm like, y'all might see me at the Hair Expo slanging cookbooks and hair care products. You never know. You just never know with me. So
absolutely. We do have a question in the chat for you. This is coming from Miss Tony Allen. She says, how do you balance all of the irons that you have in the fire right now? Mom, author, sister, event planner, content creator, et cetera, et cetera. So how are you balancing all these things?
Student, full-time employee.
Right. No, let's not forget you in school too.
Yeah, I am in school. I'm a senior right now, so I'm graduating shortly. But you know what? I have a schedule. I adopted meditation like I want to say 6 or 7 years ago when my daughters were babies. I adopted meditation. So I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, and I have since they were babies. And they're 8 years old. So that keeps me grounded. So meditation keeps me grounded. And then I write everything down. Everything is in my calendar. I know when my homework is due. I know what time the girls have to go to school. Dinner is made at a certain time. We have I'm pretty just programmed, honestly. And then when it comes to like social media and things like that, I schedule all of my posts out, in advance. I typically don't, post in real time. I schedule everything unless I'm promoting something like my book where, I'm reposting something or I'm trying to get more sales or something like that. But I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not, because like I said, I'm taking 4 classes, I'm running 2 businesses, and I'm planning a huge event. So I just I think self-care is very important. Self-care for me is meditation. And then, like I said, I plan everything. Everything is just planned out. Like, I know that from, when I finish getting the girls to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, when I come back home, I'm checking emails from 8 to 11. I know that from 8 to 11, once I'm done checking emails from, 11 to 12, I'm on social media doing something. I know I got to go pick the girls up from school at 3. And then when I come home, I know it's homework and then dinner time. And then when they're asleep, I'm doing my homework. When I remember when I first planned the first Detroit Natural Hair Expo, I think I slept like 3 hours a night the whole time I was planning. Once it was over, I actually slept for 8 hours. But prior to that, those like 4 months of planning, I got no sleep. And I felt like once I got comfortable, that's when I wasn't seeing results.
Right.
When I was uncomfortable and I was actually putting in the work, that's when I was seeing all the results because I was working really hard. So it was totally worth it.
Right. And what you throw in an event of that caliber, and this is something else I always discuss in the group, is price. Because like you said initially, when you found out about New Orleans, the tables were $600 and stuff like that. I've been to events where the tables were $500. I tell the people in the group, my vending budget is anywhere between $25K to $3,000 a year. And but it's well worth it. But I don't think people really understand the pricing aspect of why, people like us ask for that type of money, because, and I'm not talking about pop-ups. I know I hate that word. It's a disgusting word in my world. I am an event person. Okay, I do expos, events, conferences, things like that. But I think people get misconstrued. No, you should never be paying $450 for a pop-up. Not at all. But an expo or a conference and the things that go into that, and these wonderful people that you have speaking that are higher level, Kenya Moores and Cynthia Bailey's and things like that. These people ain't free. They ain't just stopping by to say hello. Can you just explain, and you ain't got to go into complete detail, but just kind of explain why these things cost what they cost and the things that go into it when you're planning events of that caliber. And I can't say caliber enough because I don't think people understand. When you walk in, I've done her event, there's 50, 60, 75, maybe even 100 vendors, okay? You're in not a gymnasium, you're not in a hotel lobby, you're in a convention center. Like, just kind of touch on that and make the people understand how event planners and expo planners and stuff get to that point.
How do we get to that point?
Well, with the pricing aspect.
With the pricing, okay.
Understand.
I know people are like, they side eye you when you tell them, oh, it's vending is $500 or, $600. I've had someone pay, $10,000 to be a vendor at my event before. So, the venues, when you have events at convention centers, especially at the one that we use, not only are they charging you for each table that you have, they're charging you for the stage, they're charging you to set up the day before.
Even the plug, y'all.
They're charging you for electricity. I've had convention centers charge you for internet. So just imagine if you come to one of my events and you have like a Square card reader that needs to be connected to Wi-Fi and you can't take payments, it's because you didn't pay for the outlet, and the outlet is $200. So that's why we charge so much. And then, at the convention center that I used for so many years, the third year that I had Kenya Moore there, that ballroom was $15,000 just to rent the room.
Huge ballroom, y'all. And I'm not even playing. It was a lot of us in that room, but we had great space. We were very comfortable. There was a huge stage for the panels and all the things that were going on. It was probably if not one of their biggest rooms in that center.
Yeah, it's the biggest room that was in that center, and it was also on a Saturday. So the convention center, they have what is called a union workers. They're contractors, and when they work on weekends, they triple your pricing. So if they want, like, if Aunt Jackie's want to come and set up a booth and they can't put together their booth because it's super fancy, the convention center has people that will do that for you, but they're gonna charge you like $6,000 to do it. Right. So they charge you to set up the tables. Whereas if you have the event there on a Friday,
right?
Okay, it's gonna be, they're gonna charge you $500 to. I'm just giving an example. $500 to set up the tables. You have the event on a Saturday, they're doubling, tripling it. So it's just really cost. It got to a point where I wasn't really making much because the convention centers, they keep going up. They keep being sold to other managers and companies and things like that. The place that I had my event at, they've sold like 3 times. Their prices have
changed names a couple times.
They've changed their name like 3 times since I've had the event. So it's not like you're going to like a hall where it's $500 to rent it, and then the vendor fee is $50 or or whatnot. It's not that. It's a high scale event that's on the radio. We're bringing out celebrities like Kenya Moore. She was cheaper than some, but just imagine, like, I have to pay her $10,000. On top of that, she wants first class flights for her and her staff, and then you have to pay for She didn't want that, but another wife did. And then, you know, you have to give them a 4-star hotel.
I was gonna say, God forbid they want to stay. Some of them
Yeah.
fly out the same day, but if they want to stay, that's another cost.
Yeah, and luckily Kenya Moore is from Detroit and she showed us mad love. She still charged us a high fee, but we didn't, it was all inclusive. So we didn't have to pay for her hotel, we didn't have to pay for, you know, her flight or anything like that, but it still costs a lot of money. It's not a cheap event at all. And then you have to pay for advertising the events. Like we can't, our job is to get people out there to shop with you. A lot of our vendors, we bring out a lot of people. So a lot of our vendors are making money. I know the first time I got there, I didn't know anybody. I walked away with $3,000, you know, as a new vendor who has never vended before with a new product that no one ever knew of. But that's because I worked my butt off with advertising the event so much every day, all day long, that I got so many people out there. That costs money to advertise on the radio. It's not cheap.
And I gotta say, even for yours, I still think yours was one of the more reasonably priced events that I've done. I've never done bad in Detroit, like literally never done bad in Detroit. It's almost like I'm from there because it has come to the point now where I come to town, people are looking for me. Like people like, oh, I'm so glad you're back. I've even had people drive in to Detroit to come see me. And I'm like, you bypassed Cleveland. You could have caught me at the next show. But that's what I'm saying. Like it, for what we paid to be vendors, I thought it was totally worth it. Like you said, I've walked away with 2-3K plus at Detroit on any given.
And most vendors who are not big box brands like Mael Organics, you know, the Main Choice, they're not paying more than $350 to be a vendor at one of my shows, unless they want a larger space. It's those big brands that are paying the thousands and thousands of dollars.
But they have a larger setup and
exactly. I would never charge what I call them as an independent or indie brand to pay that much ever. But $350, $400, I think is pretty reasonable. Even I wasn't gonna pay $600.
Reasonable. And people have to also consider, for the ones of those of us who do travel, you have to, you know, consider where you are in town. So yeah, us Detroit, I would consider $250, $350 very reasonable. I've paid $500 to $600 in New York City. It's New York City, so $500 to $600 in New York City is really just $250 here in Cleveland. You know, you have to consider your demographic and where you are and why the price is like it is. So, because yes, our venues here in Cleveland, or it may be even Detroit, may not cost that much. But if you're getting a venue in New Orleans, that's a popular tourist town, in New York City, that's popular tourist town, in, you know, Miami or something like that, of course the price is going to be higher because, like you said, everything that you went through, the electricity, the workers, the tables, the things like that, like that's a cost. It is an extra cost that is put onto the event host. So therefore, you know, yes, the more people you get in, the lesser you can make the price, but you still got to pay for these things. And hey, event planners are business people too. This concept, and I can't say it enough, that you all have with, we're supposed to make you all money, but we don't make no money in the intro. That makes no sense, people. Stop it. Like, just stop it. So I have another question. It says, how often do you do your expo? Once or twice a year. Why is that? It's once. Okay, it's the big one. Okay, you know why? Because I've been there every year for 5 years. So she does them once a year. It's always literally, well, this year we moved it to July, but it's usually in August because I will say thank you because it's always been in August. I know in August I'm going to Detroit, you know, and it's always been a fabulous expo. It's always been so many things going on. I've met so many wonderful people at these expos, and not just Detroit people. People come into town for these expos. I have a friend who is from Cleveland. She lives in New York now, but she comes to your expos, has flown in to do the expo. So it's an amazing expo, and you get that from me. So I always tell y'all, hey, this staying in Cleveland thing, how do people know who you are if you're just chilling in Cleveland? Because at some point with the expos, I ain't gonna say expos because we ain't got there in our world yet, but these events that we all are having here in Cleveland, at some point you just start seeing the same 12 people, y'all. You got to no town is going to produce 52 great events for 52 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to happen. It's going to be one great event, maybe once or twice a year. You just got to find them in different cities and go hit them all. That's just my advice to you. I know you've heard me yell about it before, but at some point, you've now heard how it happens. how it goes down, and why things are like they are. So I thank you for explaining that, because I think they hear it from me and it's like your mother, like, oh, she's saying it, but it don't make no sense. So I'm gonna hear it from a friend, because it makes more sense coming from the friend.
Right. Hopefully it makes sense. Hopefully you guys understand. Like, we're not, I mean, because I've gotten to a point now where I do the event for the vendors. Now I'm at that point where I'm doing it for the vendors. I'm not really making money. I'm not profiting off of what you guys are giving me. It's going right into the event at this point. It's not like
name going.
Yeah, it keeps the name going. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm putting all the money back into the event. I'm not keeping anything at all. Like, I mean, tickets, I'm at the
quick. We just
because I mean, even with ticket sales, I was charging people attendees $15, $20, $50 if you wanted VIP to get into my event. Now I'm at the point where I just want to get as many people in the door so that the vendors can make money. So I'm just charging people $5 for a ticket to get in the building so that we can get as many many attendees out to shop with the vendors. That's my goal. I'm trying to get more vendors to get their brands out there to, really get their faces in front of people who they may not actually have access to on social media. So by coming to events like mine, you're getting your products in the hands of people, in the face of people who may not have never known you or know about you based off of your social media and what you post, because it may have never came across their screen. So that's what my goal is just to get as many people out there to spend money with these vendors. Because I was a vendor. I vended at my events every year, except last year.
It always close to me, and I never knew. She's in the back right there, just chilling, just sitting like this, like, never said nothing.
I always had my team there working for me. And that's kind of just what I did. I was a vendor, so I understand how much it goes into making products and bringing it and traveling and all that stuff.
Don't I know, but I can tell you, I've gotten my brand. I have a Detroit family. I literally have people. We sell a lot of product up there. I have a big clientele base up there. I send a lot of boxes up there. So yes, it has worked. I was able to get my product in front of people that I may not have been able to get it to. And when I come to Detroit for the expo, I get a lot of love. I'd be surprised that people remember me for real. You know what I'm saying? But but that means too, if they were able to remember me, that means they were there the previous year and the previous year. So that means you have a lot of people that keep coming back, but that goes back to the trust thing. And whenever if you do decide to charge more or less or whatever, people trust you that whatever you're throwing, if you're charging $200-300, hey, she put a lot of work into it, because last year she didn't even charge us. Not to say that that's not a good event. It just means that, hey, I'm giving y'all a little bit more. It costs a little bit more. We got to put a little bit more into it, and people trust that. So, and I think you have a great following up there of people who trust you and will follow you wherever you go in Detroit and throwing this thing, they coming. Okay, so I think that is amazing. You guys, if you don't have any more questions, we're going to make the announcement. So, the block party is July 22nd, correct?
Yeah.
And it is at what's the venue again?
Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries banquet facility.
Okay. And wait a minute, we have one more question. So the question is actually for both of us, but I'll let you go ahead and answer. It says, do you agree when people say you should focus on one business at a time? I have a few businesses, actually 3, I'm trying to launch at different times before the end of the year. One is more passive income, and one is, hold on, let me get to more passive income, and one is a tech company. And lastly, a tea business. I also freelance in branding, marketing, graphic design, and I'm a UX designer who also has an extensive sales background. So would you tell her to focus on one business or bust them all out?
Girl, you sound like me. But this is what I would say. I would say, do what makes you happy. If you have the time, the money, the patience to do all of that, then do it. If you don't have the time, the patience, if you get frustrated easily, if you don't have a team, then you shouldn't be doing it, because that's very, 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 very important. A team is very important. So I would say, like, if you feel like you can do it, you're organized, you have it timed, in a way that's not going to overlap or going to make you tired, exhausted, or overwhelmed, then go for it. Shoot for the stars.
I would say the same thing. I'm one of the people that would say more of get one rolling semi. I ain't saying it's gotta, where you quit your job and all that good stuff, but get one rolling and then start to focus on the other one. But like she said, the team is very important. And I had to learn that even with my travels, there's no way I could do that by myself. Even if you're hiring a teenager or an intern or somebody, you do need help. This thing that we have that we can do it all by ourselves, it is harder than you think to try to balance time, prioritize and things like that. So having a team is good. Writing down your priorities for each business, I think, is good. Like she said, keep things scheduled is good. But if you have the time to bust them all out, or focus on the one that you think that can take off first, and then prioritize those from this one is first. I'm gonna do this one second, and then we'll work on this one last. So,
I mean, at one point I was doing hair expos. I had a hair care brand. I had a hair care brand for my daughters. And then I was doing business consulting on the side. So, and I'm a single mom. So I was able to manage it all. But then I also got to a point where I was burned out because I didn't have everything, I wasn't really focused on organizing everything. I have a problem with organization. So I needed an assistant, and I ended up having to hire an assistant to help me out.
And I'm married, but I homeschool my kids. At least you get to drop your kids off, girl. I don't get to drop mine.
Well, my daughters just went back to traditional school in September. I have been homeschooling them for the last, 3 years.
Me too. And that's when I was working before I left my job, working full time, running these businesses, running this group. I told you I was on Zoom like every week teaching within this group. So I understand the juggling and the balance act. And on top of that, I'm traveling. I am making product because I have to now go travel and not travel. If everything was as close as Detroit, I would be great. But no, I'm 7 hours to New York and 12 hours to Charleston and 12 hours to Atlanta and all these places like that. So that was starting to wear and tear on me. Just the travel portion of it and going up and down the road, because I don't fly, I drive, and that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? To have to make 200-300 pounds of shea butter, pack it, market it, and then get on the road and be on the road for 7-8 hours. So I totally understand. Charlie girl, if you got it, girl, you go. Keep me updated. I love to know how it's all going. So we have the expo again coming up on July 22nd. It is now a block party, still expo kind of style, but we're doing more block party because we wanted to get everybody involved. We want to do stuff for the kids, stuff for the family, still have the panel discussions, still have the hair care brands and skincare brands and all these other brands come out and showcase their business. So with that being said, Miss Eonica has done something so gracious for the ladies in this group. If you have not signed up to be a vendor yet, hit me up, give me your email so I can send you the application, because you shouldn't be doing events without it, applications and contracts. But if you sign up before May 1st, we will knock $10 off. Let me tell you something. This woman has worked hard to bring you this event that started off as a $350, $450 event to simply $100. And we knocking 10 off of that for the ladies in this group. You can't get no better than that. My box should be blowing up, like for real. So we do have, we are mapped on dessert people. We got all y'all, so we don't need no more of those. But if you have a hair care brand, we really, really, really like you all to be there. That would be great. I know there's a couple of you in the group who do have hair care brands. And if you don't, and you know somebody who's interested, let me know so I can get them the application over so they can fill it out. But if you do sign up between now and May 1st, we will take $10 off of your vendor fee. That is amazing, okay? It was $450. It is now $100. You can't beat that going to Detroit. From here, Detroit is 2.5 hours. Like nothing, for real. That's like going to Columbus in real life. Okay, let's see, I have another question. Is there space for mental health professionals to be a vendor? Yes, Miss Shirley, there is space. Get in my box, get this discount. Come on to the D with us, okay? So you all, and I always say, this is the time. This is, if you've ever thought about the travel vending, because you all are always asking me, how do I do it? Here you are. This will be a great first trip for you if you've never done it, okay? For me, this is like driving downtown because Detroit is close. It's no overhead, unless you just want to stay. Come on home. You come back home. I come home every time from Detroit. I don't even stay. I come in the morning. I do the show. I come on back home. Let's see how that works. So get in my inbox so I can get you the application. Make sure you put Cleveland somewhere so we'll know it's coming from my people. She's doing that for me. Hey, thank Miss Eonica because I gave y'all nothing. Okay, so make sure you take advantage of this. This is such a great. It's these spaces, and I'm holding spaces for y'all because I anticipated, like I said, 15 or 26 is coming. So hurry up because these spaces are gonna go fast because again, this is an expo that is anticipated every year, like literally every year. So make sure you get in and get you a space, okay? Miss Eonica, thank you so much for being on the Black Girl Business Hour. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of the Detroit Natural Hair Expo team. It has been such a great learning experience and just the whole how everything goes because, hey, you never know. We might have one here in Cleveland, okay? we working hard, our downtown trying to get itself together. So we got to get down there. And it ain't gonna be no little panky-yanky ass pop-up. I'm talking convention center. I'm talking downtown, the Cube, whatever the hell it is today, because they change it. I'm talking Tower City. I'm talking big, okay? Because y'all know mother does not do small shit, okay? So we are ready. We trying to bring that energy to Cleveland. I'm learning for this sister here. She teaching me everything so I can bring you all the business, okay? So again, if you have, please let us know how anybody can follow your social medias and things like that, TikTok. Let them have it so they can follow you.
Okay, so on Facebook, I'm Eonica Smith. That's Eonica, last name Smith, Smith. On TikTok, I am The Bomb Cook. That's TheBombCook. Detroit Natural Hair Expo on Instagram. My personal Instagram is too complicated to say out loud. If you type in Eonica or The Bomb Cook, you should find me. But that's really it. My website to purchase a cookbook is thebombcook.com. I also have seasonings, and I just launched a new barbecue sauce. So yeah.
And I will be putting all the links into the chat, into the group, and they'll also be on the YouTube page. This hour of the Black Girl Business Hour is brought to you by Rebellious Beauty LLC. Rebellious Beauty is an all-natural, organic and vegan skincare company based right here in Cleveland, Ohio, and is now one of the sponsors of the Detroit Natural Hair Expo. Look at that, y'all. Look at your girl, okay? Get with me now. So thank you again so much for being on our show. You have been absolutely amazing. If nobody else has said they're proud of you, I am, girl, because I didn't see you come all the way up, all that good stuff, and you've done great, and you're going to continue to do very, very great things. And I hope that I can be a part of some of it. So thank you again for being on our show. Tomorrow, y'all, we got another interview. Y'all get in here again. Come spend some time with me, 7 o'clock. Have a great Wednesday evening. Eonica, you go do homework, girl, because it is the end of the semester.
Yes, I gotta go.
I will talk to you all later. Have a great evening. I'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.